This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am Sean Anderson, and this is the Fast Break Podcast, and today I have Dave Oster.
Hey, guys.
And Ricky Widmer alongside me.
Hey, what's up?
And we're going to talk WNBA Draft. We finally get to talk about our favorite topic here. We're going to delve into these prospects that you guys been watching on ESPN. We've been watching all throughout the season because we're huge women's basketball fans in general, but we're going to talk WNBA, where we think these prospects are going to be going. And right off the back, I think it's pretty obvious to everyone who's just a new-time fan or guys like us who's been watching this game forever that Breanna Stewart's the number one pick in this draft, and I don't think there's a question about it.
I'm looking at, as of right now, 98-38 win over Mississippi State. Just 8 of 10 from the floor, 22 points, 14 boards, 5 blocks.
Someone say a convincing victory.
It is dominance.
She reminds me a lot of a female Tim Duncan, kind of. She can do everything well.
The fundamentals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And actually, speaking of that, they got Kevin Durant to speak on this because he is a big fan of women's college basketball. And he's actually referring to her as a 5-tool player. She's very skilled. She can shoot, pass, she can rebound, she can run, and she can jump. So there's a lot he hasn't seen, women's game or otherwise. He's a big fan. I think he's absolutely spot on. Like the comparison to Tim Duncan, the fundamentals, like I just said, it adds up.
Yeah, and I mean the big thing, here's the thing about Breanna Stewart that I think we need to talk about. Is there a chance, or if you're Connecticut, do you do this? This is Ricky conspiracy theory.
2K Ricky?
2K Ricky. Seattle's got the number one pick. They're going to take Breanna Stewart. Mm-hmm. Do the Connecticut Sun try to say, hey, let's try to trade the 3rd overall, 4th overall, maybe the even 2nd rounder to try to get the number one pick and keep Breanna in the state of Connecticut?
I don't think they do that. I mean,
that's mortgaging the farm, though.
Yeah, that's mortgaging the farm, and then plus, Breanna Stewart is like a once in every 5-year player because I mean.
Kind of like what LeBron James is to the NBA. She's the player that can change the franchise from even the 5.
Exactly. She's kind of like Candace Parker when the Los Angeles Sparks drafted her in 2008. Candace Parker coming out of college was the best player in college basketball. And since she's gone into the league, her last season, 19 points, 9 rebounds a game, 6 assists. So I mean, she can really do everything that Breanna Stewart can do. So I think this is someone that can change a team and probably Seattle's best player since Sue Bird. And Sue Bird's still even up there.
I was going to say, could you imagine, though, Breanna Stewart does get drafted by the Sun. Sue Bird, pass it down low, Breanna Stewart, basket.
Love it.
Sue Bird, pass it down low, Breanna Stewart. Sue Bird could get like 10 assists a game with Breanna Stewart down low.
Yeah, she could have a real revival. I mean, she's had a revival.
Well,
but
almost led the league in assists, I believe.
Last year, I think she was like 0.4 away.
Yeah.
So I mean,
what's you're trying to set up like an Amari Stoudemire and Steve Nash down there?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Seattle would be stupid enough to actually do that. I think Seattle knows that Breanna Stewart is a once in every 5 years player. And I mean, looking at the latter half of these players. I mean, Aerial Powers from Michigan State, she's shown flashes, but I don't know if she can really, be that next player for San Antonio. And then even looking at the other 2 Connecticut players in the top 5, Morgan Tuck and Mariah Jefferson, again, I don't know if they can really be those, impact players that, Breanna Stewart can come in because, obviously 2's better than 1 if you're doing just math. But I mean, I think that one is, that one's pretty damn spectacular.
Yeah,
I think it's
as far as, putting them on a scale, it's. You have Breanna Stewart up top, and then it's, quite a few levels down before you hit Aerial Powers, Mariah Jefferson, Morgan Tuck. That second level of players, there's such that gap in talent that I agree with you. You don't trade back. You keep your number 1 overall, and you ride the franchise on that. But at the same time, Connecticut can kind of build up their entire roster, like you said, with this depth. So I think there's no real bad way to do it. I think there's no chance that they'll trade those 2 picks up for that number 1, though.
And if we're talking about trading picks here, I really think Minnesota might actually make a move into the first round here to get Whitney Young from Whitney Knight. I'm thinking of the high school around us. Whitney Knight from Florida Gulf Coast. They were scouting her at her most recent or one of her most recent games, and the Lynx have an eye for talent, drafting Maya Moore and all that. And I think that the former NBA champions are going to look for players to really change their team, and I honestly think Whitney Knight can be this player because looking at her at Florida Gulf Coast, she's got deep shooting range like Steph Curry and I think she could be a steal in the draft. And I think if they really like her enough, they might move up and
Do you
get her in
think
the
Knight's
first round.
really going to go in the first round though? Because I'm looking at.
I think if they're a big enough fan, I think that because
the
we just said, there's
the
that
reason
huge,
why I ask is I'm looking at draftsite.com where I'm getting the information. They actually have Whitney Knight 17th overall in the second round, well past where Minnesota even is already.
I'm looking at that same site, but I'm saying that that article just came out. So I mean, the Lynx are looking at him. So the Lynx might even take her at 14. But I'm just feeling
maybe
if
another team could be interested.
Maybe like the
another-
Liberty or even the Sky.
Yeah, so I think Knight can make a jump up here, and I think that Knight can really be that the second best player in this draft outside of Stewart. Because I looking at her game, she looks phenomenal. I mean, she can shoot, and adding that against Maya Moore, I mean that's basically unstoppable. Because you got that deep shooting range. I mean, they can basically turn into the Warriors. Because Maya Moore can shoot the lights out, and we've seen that all throughout her career. And if I keep calling her Whitney Young. If Whitney Knight keeps developing her shot and is able to knock down that three consistently, I think the Lynx can still be unstoppable machines. Because I mean, looking at them, they're pretty damn good, consistently. Because former WNBA champs, they've already got 3 titles, 3 in the past 4 years. So I think the Lynx can really just keep building this team that they have if they get Whitney Knight. Because I think this team is really just phenomenal.
Well, and one player that I want to bring up because she had this is more of a recent just performance that she had in the tournament that if she enters the draft could be one of those to get her into draft contention is Erica McCall from Stanford. Notre Dame, I'm sorry. I am sorry, Sean. Your Notre Dame Fighting Irish fell to the Cardinal 90-48, but she had 27 points. Yeah, only 4 rebounds, but Johnson was more of the rebound artist for the Cardinal in that game. But 12 of 18, went to the line, hit both of her shots, 27 points for Stanford. There could be some that look at that game and go, hey, you know what? McCall may be someone we should look at. And hey, if she has a better performance in the Elite Eight, and if they go to the Final Four, maybe even to play UConn in the national title, could be something to look at.
Yeah, she's clearly someone Stanford can count on to carry this team through. She's obviously their main source of offense. Obviously, Thompson wasn't shooting that well, but again, if you're looking for someone...
4 of 14 is not that well.
Not that well.
Still finished with 11 points, yeah.
I'm being nice here. But again, if you're looking for somebody to lean on for points, I mean, you can sort of discredit, okay, maybe they're not the best around the boards.
Yeah.
Their game won't always be so well rounded out. So if you need a pure score, absolutely an option.
And I am looking at it, Stanford would play UConn in the championship if they met UConn.
So that's your sleeper in the draft. Would you say?
McCall, yeah.
Who would be your sleeper, Dave? Because we'll finish that up with sleepers in the draft. Because
honestly, I'm not even going for that much of a sleeper. I think Jonquel Jones. She's rated, projected kind of low in the first, and I think she's a much better player than is given credit. I think that what she can bring to a team is a different level of toughness that you don't see very often in WNBA. So I feel like she could really take over the paint.
Yeah, and for me, looking at draftsite.com, they have Madison Cable from Notre Dame because I'm a homer. They have her going to the third round. But looking at her stats, she shoots 49% from the field, 47% from 3, averaging 13 points per game. I think she can step into a WNBA team and produce. And maybe you want to pair her up with Della Don, Pondexter, and Vandersloot. So you really want to just add more shooting to Della Don because Della Don can just drive and do everything basically. I mean, she's a beast inside. So I think if you add Cable into that, I think she can just be scoring for the Sky and make them even a more legitimate threat.
I just hope that teams don't look at this loss to the Cardinal because it's Cable's last game before she would come out. 4 of 13 from the field, 6 rebounds, 12 points. I mean, you see 12 and 6 and you go, okay, that's respectable. But you see 4 of 13, it's like, you know what, that could have been a little bit better from the field.
But I mean, you got to look at her body of work throughout her career. And I think she's really talked and made herself a formidable threat. I mean, people have bad games. We've seen it on the men's side. We've seen it on the women's side.
It's just really, the second round, she went a little bit better, 50% from the field, 5 of 10, 2 from 5 from 3, 16 and 5 points to rebounds.
But still, again, look at her regular season stats. I mean, she was playing against one of the best in the best conference in the women's side in the ACC. So I think, and she's always been a big star and big proponent of this game. So I think she can be a real sleeper in this draft. And that will wrap it up for Mock Draft 1.0 for the WNBA. Thank you for listening today on April 1st. Thank you for Dave and Ricky for joining us. We'll probably be bringing you another one of this when it comes close to draft time on April 14th. So thank you for joining us, and have a great one, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod for more great podcasts.